doing the art, it's like just 45 minutes of art making, it reduces cortisol levels, meaning that stress hormone.
I am going to confess to you that I do not know much about, and please let us know more about this. And also, if you want to share a little bit of your story, how did
Yeah,
you get into the art and toward the healing and manifesting? That would be great.
most definitely. Yeah. So I've been an artist all my life, and it was actually in high school where I had a turbulent time in high school. I moved around to like 3 different states. It was hard for me to make friends, but I just dove into my art. My art was my outlet. It was a way to express myself when I was going through this really hard time. And I actually was submitting my art. My art teacher like submitted my art into shows, and it was judged. And one of the judges asked me, "So, what are you interested in?" I was like, "Well, I like art, I like psychology." And so they sent me this article about art therapy, and it was about this little boy who had cancer, and he was in the hospital, and he wasn't around his parents. His parents were working, but he had an art therapist that would come in to offer him emotional support. So she had him drawing out Pac-Man to eat away the cancer cells. And a part of that, he ended up going through remission, and he was able to get over the cancer. And
Wow.
he was like to be in a place where he felt helpless to being feeling empowered. So I just thought it was a beautiful story that this little boy was able to get emotional support at that time. And I knew how much the art was supporting me as well. And I was like, wow, was like, I want to do that. I want to be able to help people when they're down and out, or then they feel like they need some sort of outlet, that you do have this strength, that you can use colors, that you can use symbols, or different ways to express yourself and feel better. So I just knew that that was the route that I wanted to take. So I ended up getting my undergraduate degree in studio sculpture and getting a master's degree in art therapy. And I've been practicing since then. So it's been about like 19 years I've been practicing.
Oh,
So
wow. You look
yeah.
so young. You look like you're still a high school student. Oh, wonderful. How wonderful. And I think this is very good for people who have autoimmune disease, because many times, by the time they are looking for something more alternative or also other things to help, they might feel, especially depending on the diagnosis, they might be feeling very frustrated, very sometimes very upset or even depressed, and emotions have a deep and direct impact of people who have autoimmune disease because of the stress. Also, all of this affect the health of all of us. But if a person has autoimmune disease, affects very directly, and they can feel very much. So I think this is a wonderful thing to know about. And can you talk about how art therapy can be beneficial, so they know more about it?
Yeah, most definitely. So it's a process. I mean, I offer online services in groups, and then also individually. So it's really about just being open to experiment, right? So if you're not an artist, but you're like, that kind of sounds interesting, it's just being open to play with the materials. I do work with a lot of artists, just to help them support them with their mental health, whether they're experiencing depression or PTSD, things like that. But like working with doing the art, it's like just 45 minutes of art making, it reduces cortisol levels, meaning that stress hormone. Like
Okay,
you
let's
like
let's repeat that.
yeah,
45 minutes of art reduce cortisol levels. That's very important.
yes. Yeah,
Yeah.
they've done research where they actually put like they were like testing it on like someone's tongue, and they made artwork, and then they tested it again, and they saw the reduction. So their stress was reduced. So just art making in itself is healing, right? And so the therapy, the art therapy part is reflecting on your life. So that's that part where you get to talk about it too. So it's not just the art making, but you have that opportunity to say, hey, these colors represent this, or these symbols are, mean something like this. So you get to start to reflect on what's going on. So it's something that you can look at. So it's separate from yourself. You can
Mhm.
release. It's cathartic. You can put it outside of yourself. and then talk about it and have that conversation. And what's cool about it is that it's never just like a one-time thing. It's not like you just dabble. It's more of like a series. So you get to make a series of art pieces and be like, this is what was happening during this time. And, as I was feeling better, this had happened, but then it flared up again and I felt bad. And this is what it looked like. So you get to watch, your
The
art evolve.
journey, the
Yeah.
journey, right? Yeah, representing your own inner journey. And you said cathartic. I think that's very important because many times it's a way of expressing, because many times I work a lot with trauma, and when we are
Mm,
working with trauma, many times we will access areas in ourselves that are very confused and has no, or even pre-verbal memories, come, and there is no words there.
right.
But that's a different way, which I think is so, it seems to me, it's so effective to connect with a different way of expression, right?
Right, right. So it's like working with art therapy, it's not about making the pretty picture. So it's more about the expression. So if you just like kind of let go of that outcome of, planning, what is it going to look like, but just allowing it to come through you. So that's what I was saying. Like we usually just start with, okay, let's pick an emotion, let's match the color. Okay. Now let's turn that into a scene, or let's turn that into a sculpture, or let's turn that into something else, so that that's where that evolution comes, where you're having like a conversation with the art, like you're learning how to speak through the art, because the art has a language, it's a visual language. So that's what's beautiful. I think it's beautiful as an artist, because I feel like it's my language. But if
Now,
you've never done it before, it's like a new language that you can learn how to
yeah,
speak.
that's what I'm gonna say. I speak, English is not my native language. I learned to speak Japanese because I lived in Japan. I'm like, oh, okay, that would be a new language.
Yes.
Exactly. So, so does for the person who is not, let's say, visual, or the person, a lot of what I feel, maybe it's my own thinking, but could be other people also thinking of, do I need to know about art? Do I need to know how to draw? Do I need to know about colors combinations? How does in terms of art therapy, is it that important? Is important? Not at all, a little bit. Please tell us more about this part.
Yeah. So I think it's just the openness to experiment. Like just giving yourself that opportunity, right? To try it. I think that's the most important part. I love stick figures. I think stick figures are cool. So since I'm an artist and I work with a lot of people who have never done art and they're like, I want to learn, but I'm open to it. I'll show them how to go from a stick figure to like a figure. Like I could tell them the steps, of like how to make basic shapes and you put them together, those type of things. So I do a like teaching in there, but it's
Mm.
more about like the expression, right? Of just like giving it meaning. Like, what is it the meaning for you? And how does that relate to your life? So um you don't have to, like I said, you don't have to have a background. It's just like an openness to try something. And I think that's the where I've done this for a long time, right? So I think that's where people get stuck, is where they want it to look like something. And it doesn't have to. You can let go of that part, because that's the ego of like wanting to like make it look like something, but it's more about the feeling that, and like using your intuition. It's learning how to say, does this feel good? What is it that I want to put on there? And you start to just listen to yourself of, yeah, this is what needs to be there.
So would be something like, it's not about the product, or it's not about what you are producing in itself by, in fact, I'm sure a lot of perfectionism kicks in in this process also, and you become aware, oh, this is not so beautiful, perfect, or whatever. But I think it seems to me it's really about the creative process in itself, the journey itself, right? And also, I don't know, I believe that we, at least I see a lot in my work, how much repressed and suppressed, not only emotions, thoughts, expression, really, we have, and we have been conditioning ourselves to whatever was the environment we
Mhm.
were, or we still are, or have been. And I wonder, it takes, perhaps takes a while to allow yourself just to create, right? I'm just wondering how you see this journey. Like if a person comes quite uptight and it wants to be there and open, but perhaps it doesn't come like right away. It takes a while. Can you talk a little bit about this process? I'm wondering, you know.
Yeah, I love doing warm-up exercises just to check in. I keep it really simple. For example, of just maybe even like choosing a color or two colors. Like I said, just representing an emotion. If you were frustrated, okay, maybe what is that rep like what would you pick for that? Or you were feeling confused. Okay, what color would you pick for that? And then like doing a warm-up exercise before we can go deeper, or sometimes I'll even start with a breathing technique or a meditation. So it's so you don't have to like dive in 100%, but it's just kind of like leaning into it. Okay, where are you at today? Like really just client focused and what their needs are. What's going on with you? How are you feeling? Okay, then we're gonna make art around that, right? And just holding that space for them to create. Sometimes we'll talk like while they're creating. Sometimes they feel like they need, and then sometimes it's just quiet, or sometimes we'll put some music. It's really where they're at and where they're feeling. And then I always like to talk at the end just to kind of, sum it up, or, what do we need to do for this next week for self-care. So it's just another coping skill, like another tool in your toolbox that you can use to hopefully do on a daily basis. I mean, I don't have my journal here, but I do use my journal daily, my art journal. And it's just like an abstract expression to check in with myself. Because I feel like that's just one of the most powerful tools to say, hey, how am I doing today? What's some of the
Great. Yeah. It's like me with my meditation, like every day, oh, how am I today? So I think
yeah.
it's a different tool, but to check in and see how you're doing. So normally, how often should, like you're saying, you do this every day that you have your creative journal. So how often a person can do sessions? Would it be like every week, twice a month? How does it work, and how do you see the effective way to help the person to have this even cathartic experience, or to just even to, you said something very important, I think, in the beginning, is seeing something outside of yourself, so that you're not identifying with I am this emotion, for example, in terms of emotion, seeing that you can feel the emotion is part here that of your experience, but you are not the emotion. And sometimes in the midst of all this, sometimes we identify with that emotion. Yeah. So how do you see the process of sessions and things like that?
Yeah, so I like to we meet on a weekly basis because I feel like if it's just 2 weeks, so much happens in 2 weeks. So I like to meet on a weekly basis just to see where they're at, what has changed, what's come up, what have they worked on, and then also I like to have the client make a commitment to at least 14 sessions. That's kind of been like the key component, like at least 3.5 months, because that's
Mhm.
where they get to learn how to use the art as a coping tool, use it between sessions, where we can reflect on it. I've had, when I first started out, like especially even doing online work, where someone would want, oh, I just want to try it one time or two time. And it's like, you can't build a relationship on that. You can't really learn how to use the art as a tool, or learn how to look at your art and have that conversation. It's something that you build upon. It's like any type of relationship. You got to meet somebody more than one or two times, right?
Exactly, exactly.
Yeah, so you're learning how to incorporate it in your life. So yeah, that like I like that commitment where people are saying, I'm willing to try this out and explore it and see what comes up for me. And sometimes they end up working with me longer if that needs, but I really feel like that's a kind of a sweet spot, like a few months to get to know yourself with the art.
Yeah, it makes sense to me. It's the same, I would say, with meditation and embodied meditation, it's the same thing. It's the same as a language that you're going to learn. You cannot just, okay, I had one class and now I know.
Right.
And same with anything that also, and I think it seems to me that because this expression involves the body, it's not just something mental, but involves your hand, you're participating there. I feel like it takes the gist of it to get the how to do, but also it seems to me that it very healing, because my way of seeing is that sometimes we can be very mental, and when it's work only in terms of trauma, for example, you have to have more involvement of the body. You cannot just go with words, because many times we are dealing with issues that is like a preverbal, or that is parts of the brain that has no language. And that is a different language that involves the body, that seems to me can be quite deep. And to go deeper, you need time, right? Yeah.
Yeah, most definitely. We do a lot of body work, as far as like drawing out the body. Where's the pain in the body? Show what it looks like within the drawing, to reflect on it, like how intense is it? Yeah, so and also just experimenting with different materials, because we're going to find that different materials are going to evoke something different for us. Like a pencil is very controlling, right? And then when you get into paint, it's very fluid. And then when you look at clay, is so grounding. I love clay. It's really great for anxiety. It's just gonna brings you down to
Very
build something
earthy. Yeah, very earthy, right? Yeah.
very earthy. So there's also a point, as I say, with those sessions, it's like being able to give yourself that opportunity to try different materials as well. And then you're gonna find something like, oh, I love acrylic more than I like watercolor. But because I like the thickness of it, and I like the bold of the colors, versus the watercolor is just like I don't have any control over it. It's just like so, but everyone's different, right? Someone might like that
Yeah.
different.
Yeah.
So that's where it's good to explore to see, what resonates with you too.
Yeah, so that's so beautiful, because yeah, and perhaps even phases, right? The person can have different phases that different types of material would align with a particular
Yeah.
moment in their life also, right? Oh,
Yeah.
wonderful. Oh, wonderful. Do you have any word you would like to give to the people who are in this audience, mainly target toward the autoimmune disease, that would be good for them to try to think about in terms of art, something you would like to share?
Yeah, well, when we're little, we're like really open to playing and expressing ourselves. We don't judge ourselves. So it's like when we get a little older, it's like we put those expectations and things like that. So I would say just be open to trying something new if you've never tried it before, and allow yourself to play, and allow the healing benefits to happen. Um, and that's one of the things that I wanted to offer as a free gift. Do you mind if I talk about it a
Oh,
little
yes,
bit?
no, sure. Please talk about the free gift. In fact, I want to already mention the free gift link is here below, so they can click and go. So explain, please, about the free gift.
Oh, okay, beautiful.
Thank you
Thank you.
so much, in fact, for offering.
Yeah, yeah, because I want your audience to be able to like, try it, at least try it out. If something they want to explore further, that's wonderful. So I have a membership group called the Creative Soul Society, and it's where we meet twice a month online. And we have different themes. So maybe it's art for anxiety, or art for healing money, or we have different themes that happen every
Mhm.
month. So I wanted to offer them a free month so that they could come in the group and then try it out. So you really just need like an art journal, whatever art materials that you happen to have on you, whether it's markers or gel pens or whatever it is, and you just use that for our experience. I mean, sometimes we do like self-care boxes and things along those lines, but we'll ask for something specific. But just I would love to offer a free month so that they can try it out.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you so much for offering that. It's a wonderful opportunity to experiment and to see how they feel. Oh, wonderful. Thank you so much.